My mascara wand hovers mid-stroke when Grace appears in the bathroom mirror, her small fingers twisting the hem of her unicorn nightgown. Something in her reflection stops me cold the way her green eyes, so like mine, dart to the window overlooking our circular driveway where my car sits waiting. "Mommy?" Her voice comes out smaller than her 6 years. "Just a minute, sweetie." I finish with the mascara, desperate to make up for lost time. The Anderson report sits heavy in my briefcase downstairs, already a day late. "Go get your shoes on for school." But Grace doesn't move. Her fingers twist tighter, stretching the cotton. "Please don't drive today." The oddness of her words makes me turn. "What?" She steps closer, rising on tiptoes to whisper in my ear. "Daddy did something." A chill skitters down my spine despite the steam from my morning showers still fogging the mirror. Before I can question her, Alan appears in the doorway, travel mug in hand, his crisp button down, a stark contrast to Grace's rumpled nightgown. "Running late?" His tone is light, but something flickers behind his eyes when they meet mine in the mirror. "I made you coffee." "Thanks." I check my watch, 7:45. The museum board meeting starts at 9 and Burlington traffic will be brutal. Grace honey shoes now. She backs away, never taking her eyes off Alan. When did she start watching him like that? The thought slips away as I hurry downstairs, the familiar drowsiness already creeping in despite the extra shot of espresso I'd added to my morning coffee. The guardrail scrape on my car catches the morning sun as I pass, a silver reminder of last week's close call. My hands had felt so heavy on the wheel that day, my reactions too slow for the sharp curve on Mountain Road. "You're working too hard," Alan had said when I told him about the near miss, but his words held none of the warmth they'd carried 7 years ago at our wedding. None of the joy that had lit his face the day we brought Grace home from the hospital. None of the excitement that had bubbled between us when we'd first toured this Victorian dream house. Everything changed after Mom died. I sipped the coffee Alan made, trying to focus as Grace's footsteps whisper across the hardwood behind me. She's taken to watching from doorways lately, hovering at the edges of rooms like a small ghost. Last week, I found a crayon drawing tucked under my pillow stick figures in our driveway. Alan was holding something that looked like a bottle. "The Anderson report can't wait another day." Alan's voice startles me. He leans against the kitchen counter, keys jingling against his leg. The board's expecting it. The drowsiness intensifies. I grip the counter, remembering Grace's whispered warning. Her words shouldn't matter, they're probably just another phase, like her recent refusal to let Alan tuck her in at night. But something about them burrows under my skin, paired with the unease that's been building since I noticed the life insurance brochure in Alan's desk drawer last month. I think I'm calling in sick. Alan's fingers are still on his keys. "You can't be serious." "I am." The words surprise me even as they come out. "I'll work from home today." "Marianne." His voice hardens around my name. "The museum needs that report. It can wait one more day." I don't look at him as I pull out my phone to call in, but I feel the weight of his stare. When I finally glance up, his expression is blank, controlled. But his knuckles have gone white around his travel mug. "Fine." He sets the mug down too hard, coffee sloshing over the rim. "I'm going for my morning run." The front door closes behind him with careful precision. Through the window, I watch him jog down our tree-lined street, his new morning routine that started just after Mom's funeral. Just after the inheritance cleared. Grace's small hand slips into mine, warm and real. When I look down, her shoulders have relaxed for the first time all morning. What does a child see that adults miss? And would you listen to a warning that makes no sense even from someone you love? I almost didn't. But by nightfall, I would understand just how close I'd come to never coming home again. Afternoon sunlight filters through the maple trees, casting dappled shadows across our front lawn. Grace runs through the sprinkler, her laughter carrying on the warm breeze. Water droplets catch the light like tiny prisms, and for a moment I almost forget the weight of her morning warning. "Higher, Mommy!" She jumps through the spray again, her unicorn t-shirt already soaked. Make it go higher. I adjust the sprinkler head, and the arc of water rises. My fingers brush the fresh grass clippings stuck to the metal. Simple, normal, safe. Watch me. Grace takes another running leap, then stops mid-stride. Her small nose wrinkles. The car doesn't smell funny today. My hand still's on the sprinkler. What do you mean funny? Like Daddy's gym bag. She shrugs, water dripping from her pigtails. It always makes me sleepy on the way to school. The sprinkler continues its rhythmic sweep, but I can't hear it over the sudden rush of blood in my ears. Those drowsy mornings. The guardrail. Mountain road's sharp curve. When did you first notice this smell, sweetie? After Grandma died. Grace kicks at a dandelion. That's when Daddy started cleaning the car every morning. My throat tightens. Grace, honey, why don't you go watch your favorite show while I check something? Just for a little bit. She nods and runs inside, leaving wet footprints on the slate path. I wait until I hear the familiar theme song of her cartoon before walking to my car. The driver's side door opens with its usual soft click. Nothing seems out of place. The leather seats gleam from Alan's obsessive cleaning. My travel mug sits in its holder, a coral lipstick stain on the rim. The emergency kit he insisted on buying last month lies unopened in the trunk. I'm being paranoid. Grace's words this morning, now this. I'm letting imagination run wild. But Alan's voice echoes in my head. You're working too hard. Always after my near misses. Always with that odd flicker behind his eyes. Mommy? Grace stands in the garage doorway, cartoon forgotten. You're looking in the wrong spot. Where should I look? She points to the dashboard. The sleepy smell comes from there. The little holes. The air vents. I grab tissues from my purse and wipe inside the nearest vent. The white material comes away with a faint sheen, and something tickles my nose. Minty, almost medicinal, like the muscle rub Alan uses after his morning runs. My hands shake as I dial Joanne's number. 20 years of friendship means she picks up on the first ring. Mari, aren't you at work? I need your professional opinion. The words stick in my throat. Mac. Telling them out loud makes this real. If someone wanted to make a person drowsy enough to crash their car, what would they use? Silence crackles across the line. When Joanne speaks again, her pharmacist's precision has taken over. Text me a photo of any residue. And Mari, don't touch anything else without gloves. While Grace naps upstairs, I document everything with trembling fingers. The oily sheen in the vents, the fresh scratches around the dashboard seams, the small spray bottle tucked behind the manual in my glove compartment, the one I never put there. Suddenly, Grace's voice startles me. She stands in her yellow butterfly pajamas, rubbing sleep from her eyes. That's what Daddy uses to make the car clean. My stomach lurches. You've seen him use this? She nods. Every morning after his run, he says it keeps the car fresh, but it makes my nose tickle. I close my eyes, remembering the broken security camera Alan installed in the garage last month. The one he said wasn't recording. An hour later, I sit at my desktop computer. Footage from the garage camera filling the screen. Alan appears every morning this week. Always between 6:45 and 7 a.m. Always with the small bottle. Always on the days I felt most drowsy. My fingers find the bottom drawer of his desk. Locked, like always, but the key sits in plain sight, masquerading as a paperweight. Inside, crisp papers fill a manila folder. My name catches my eye. Life insurance policy. $950,000. Dated 3 weeks after Mom's inheritance cleared. Primary beneficiary. Alan Morgan. The paper trembles in my hands as I trace the route to work in my mind. Past Miller's farm. Around the reservoir. Up Mountain Road. Where the guardrail still bears silver stars from my car. Where the drop is steep enough, the curve sharp enough, that no one would question a drowsy driver's final mistake. I press my fist against my mouth, forcing back the screen building in my chest. The man who promised to love me forever has been plotting my death, one morning drive at a time. The sound of Alan's car in the driveway shatters my paralysis. I have only moments to return everything exactly as I found it, to plaster on a smile, to pretend I don't know my husband wants me dead. At that moment, Grace appears in the doorway, her green eyes solemn. This time, I hear the wisdom in her child's whisper. I told you Daddy did something bad. My hands shake as I photograph the spray bottle from every angle. The late afternoon sun streams through the kitchen windows, catching the droplets clinging to the nozzle. Each click of my phone's camera feels like another nail in the coffin of my marriage. I text Joanne. Red roses wilting. Our code phrase from college, when we promised to help each other escape bad relationships. Back then, we imagined dramatic breakups over infidelity or drinking, not this. She replies instantly. On our way. Robert's black SUV pulls into our circular driveway 15 minutes later. I watch through the window as Joanne grabs her oversized Perceth, one she uses to smuggle medication samples from the pharmacy when needed. The sight of my closest friend hurrying up the walkway unlocks something in my chest. Where's Grace? Joanne wraps me in a tight hug, her familiar lavender perfume momentarily grounding me. Upstairs, watching cartoons. I lead them to the kitchen table where I've laid out my evidence. The spray bottle, tissues stained with oil residue, and the insurance documents I found in Alan's desk. I needed her distracted for this. Robert pulls latex gloves from his pocket with practiced efficiency. Talk me through what you found. I explain everything while he examines the spray bottle under the portable UV light he brought. The sharp mint smell grows stronger as he works, and my stomach lurches at the memory of that same scent filling my car. This isn't window cleaner. Robert's voice carries the careful neutrality I recognize from my own museum conservation work. The viscosity is wrong. See how it clings to the sides? He swabs the residue onto a test strip. The paper turns an alarming shade of purple. That's a preliminary positive for benzodiazepine compounds. Joanne grips my hand. Marianne, that's a sedative. The room tilts slightly. He's been drugging me. At that moment, I know I need to talk to Grace. The thought surfaces through my rising nausea with surprising clarity. She's the reason we caught this in time. She deserves to know she did the right thing. Grace sits cross-legged on her yellow bedspread, coloring with the new markers Alan bought her last week. The sight makes my heart crack. How many gifts were bribes for silence? Baby? I sit beside her, noting how she immediately sets down her markers to give me her full attention. When did my 6-year-old learn to read a room so well? I need to ask you something important. Did you ever Daddy put anything else in Mommy's car? She nods, twisting her unicorn's tail. Sometimes Grandma Eleanor helps him. She holds the bottle while he sprays. The air leaves my lungs. Alan's mother. Of course. The woman who called me a gold digger at our wedding, who never forgave me for stealing her son to Vermont. The same woman who suggested Alan be the sole beneficiary on my new life insurance policy. Grace? I keep my voice steady. How would you like a special sleepover at Aunt Joanne's house? Katie's been asking when you can come play. Her green eyes so like mine search my face. Will you be okay? I will. I pull her close, breathing in her strawberry shampoo. Because you were so brave in telling me about the car. You protected me, sweetheart. She hugs me fiercely. I didn't want you to like Grandma Collins. My mother's death. The inheritance. Alan's new jogging routine. The pieces slot together with terrible precision. Downstairs, Robert prepares to take the evidence to his colleague at the hospital lab. I'll have preliminary results in 2 hours, full confirmation by midnight. I pace through the house while we wait, seeing everything through new eyes. The antique mirrors my mother helped me choose. The family photos where Alan's smile never quite reached his eyes. In his coat pocket, I find a crumpled pharmacy receipt dated 3 weeks ago. The hospital lab results arrive at midnight via encrypted email. I read them twice, my mind automatically cataloging the scientific names like artifacts in a museum display. Medications that cause drowsiness, disorientation, slowed reactions. The perfect cocktail for a tragic accident on a winding Vermont road. We need to call the police. Joanne's voice is firm. I shake my head. Not yet. If we move too fast, he'll destroy evidence. We need to catch him in the act. My hands are steady as I dial Detective Sarah Wilson's number. She handled my mother's estate investigation, and something in her eyes told me she never quite believed the official findings. Don't alert him, she says after I explain. We need more evidence, but I'll have a team ready tomorrow morning. I lay in bed that night, listening to Alan's even breathing beside me. The man I married, the father of my child, the person who calculated the exact amount of drugs needed to send me off that cliff. My phone buzzes softly, a text from Joanne. Grace is sound asleep. Katie's thrilled to have her sister friend over. In the darkness, a strange calm settles over me. I've spent 7 years building this life, creating the perfect home, being the perfect wife. Now I'll spend one more night here, gathering evidence to tear it all down. I think of Grace's warning, her small fingers twisting in her nightgown. My daughter saw the truth while I was still clinging to beautiful lies. Tomorrow, I'll show her that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is face an ugly truth and survive it. Alan shifts in his sleep, his hand brushing my arm. I don't flinch. I've learned from the best, after all. When morning comes, I'll give the performance of my life and pray it's not actually the last one. The yawn bubbles up from somewhere deep, not entirely forced. My hands shake slightly as I stir a third spoonful of sugar into my coffee. I barely slept last night. Alan watches from across the kitchen island, his travel mug already in hand. Morning sun glints off the titanium band I once thought symbolized forever. The scenic route might help wake you up. Mountain Road has that crisp morning air you love. My stomach clenches. I take another sip of coffee to hide my face, wondering if he notices how my fingers tremble against the ceramic. How many times had he suggested that route, knowing what waited in my car's vents? Grace still at Joanne's? His voice stays light, but something flickers in his eyes. A shadow of, what? Concern? No, calculation. I stretch, playing my part. The girls were having such fun with their movie marathon. Joanne offered to keep her for breakfast. The tissue sample from my air vents sits in Joanne's kitchen, not her daughter's Disney DVD collection. But Alan doesn't need to know that. Through the window, I catch a glimpse of Detective Wilson's unmarked car partially hidden by Mrs. Peterson's hydrangea bushes. My pulse quickens. I force myself to move slower, to appear drowsy as I wash my coffee mug with exaggerated care. Running late? Alan's knuckles whiten around his travel mug. He checked his watch 3 times at the last minute. Just tired. I yawn again. Think I'll head upstairs to grab my presentation notes before leaving. I need something from the garage first. Alan sets his mug down too quickly. Coffee sloshes over the rim, leaving a dark stain on the granite countertop. He doesn't notice, already heading for the door. The nanny cam I installed last night blinks silently from inside Grace's forgotten teddy bear on the shelf. My hands grow cold as I watch the feed on my phone. Alan moves with practiced efficiency, pulling a small bottle from his jacket pocket. The morning light catches his face as he leans into my car, systematically spraying each vent. I press my palm against my mouth, stifling the sound trying to escape. This man who kissed me goodbye each morning, who tucked our daughter into bed at night, had been plotting my death with the same methodical precision he used to organize his closet. Mr. Morgan. Detective Wilson's voice rings clear across the garage. Alan startles, the spray bottle dropping from his hand. It clatters against the concrete floor rolling beneath my car. It's just an air freshener, the words burst from him, too loud in the enclosed space. His head whips toward the kitchen window where I stand. What have you done? I meet his eyes through the glass. For a moment, I see the man I married, the one who danced with me at our wedding, who cried when they placed Grace in his arms. Then his face twists, becoming someone I never truly knew. The lab results came back this morning, Mr. Morgan. Detective Wilson steps closer, her voice steady. Another officer appears behind her, handcuffs glinting. The substance in your wife's car vents matches the sedative traces in her system. You have the right to remain silent. This is a misunderstanding. Alan's voice cracks as the cuffs click into place. Tell them, Marianne, tell them. I don't move, don't speak. My fingers press against the cool window glass, leaving smudges I'll probably clean later out of habit. Alan's phone clatters to the garage floor as they lead him away. It lights up almost immediately, vibrating against the concrete. Within minutes, a silver Lexus screeches into our driveway. Eleanor, Alan's mother, emerges clutching a manila envelope. Her perfectly coiffed hair catches the morning light as she takes in the police cars. What have you done to my son? She brandishes the envelope like a weapon. Inside, I glimpse the edge of what looks like bank withdrawal slips. Detective Wilson steps forward, another officer at her side. Mrs. Morgan, we have evidence of your involvement in the attempt on your daughter-in-law's life. Those bank records you're holding, they wouldn't happen to show withdrawals matching the purchases of prescription sedatives, would they? Eleanor's face drains of color. The envelope slips from her manicured fingers, papers scattering across our driveway like fallen leaves. I watch from the window as they lead her to a second police car. The sun catches my mother's pearl earrings in my reflection, the ones Alan once said made me look like a proper Morgan wife. Behind me, Grace's teddy bear sits on its shelf, its hidden camera having captured every moment of the truth I desperately needed to see. When the police cars pull away, their lights still flashing, I sink into a kitchen chair. The coffee stain Alan left spreads slowly across the granite, seeping into the natural fissures in the stone. Like the truth about my marriage, once revealed, it would leave a mark no amount of scrubbing could erase. How do you rebuild a life designed to end before its time? For Grace's sake, I would need to find an answer. But for now, I simply sit, watching the morning sun climb higher over a world that looks exactly the same, even though everything has changed. That same day at the police station, the metal chair scrapes against linoleum as Detective Wilson slides a tablet across the interrogation room table. The video begins without preamble. Alan, his shoulders slumped, his crisp button-down wrinkled from hours of questioning. Tell me about the plan. Wilson's voice carries the weight of certainty. She already knows. They all do. I watch Alan's fingers drum against the metal table. 3 taps, pause. 3 taps, pause. The same rhythm he used when reading the Sunday paper. It was supposed to be simple. His voice cracks. Mom suggested it after the inheritance was cleared. Said Marianne would be better off. He swallows hard. Said Grace deserved a father who could give her everything. The tablet screen blurs as tears fill my eyes. I blink them back, refusing to cry for this stranger wearing my husband's face. The sedative in the vents, making it look like drowsy driving, that curve on Mountain Road. Wilson lets the words hang between them. She always took that route. Alan's shoulders cave inward. Except when she didn't. Some mornings she'd go the long way, stop for coffee, call her friend Joanne. His laugh holds no humor. Even when she was ruining everything, she didn't know she was saving herself. I think of those mornings, the inexplicable urges to take the scenic route, to breathe, to live. The courtroom feels colder than it should for May. My mother's pearl earrings press against my neck as I take the stand, my testimony steady and clear. I focus on Judge Martinez's kind eyes, refusing to look at the defense table where Alan and Eleanor sit. Mrs. Morgan. My lawyer's voice gentles the formal address. Please tell the court about the morning your daughter warned you. The memory rises sharp and clean, Grace's small fingers twisting her nightgown. The whispered words that saved my life. The coffee Alan made, watching me with those careful eyes. Eleanor's voice cuts through my testimony. She changed him. My son was perfect before she. Mrs. Morgan. Judge Martinez silences Eleanor with a look that could freeze flame. Continue, please. The next witness makes the courtroom hold its breath. Grace walks to the judge's chambers, her yellow dress bright against the dark wood paneling. Her small hand traces patterns on the judge's desk as she speaks. I saw Daddy spraying the car lots of times. It made me sleepy when Mommy drove me to school. Her finger draws a wobbly heart. I made a picture about it. Want to see? The crayon drawing appears on the evidence screen. 2 stick figures by a car, a bottle in the taller figure's hand, words in a child's careful printing, Daddy making Mommy's car strange. The prosecutor places a tissue box near Grace's hand. She doesn't need it. Words ripple through our small town like stones dropped in still water. Shopping for groceries becomes an exercise in avoided gazes and whispered conversations that halt when I round the aisle. Some neighbors bring casseroles and careful hugs. Others cross the street when they see me coming. Did you ever suspect? They ask when they think I can't hear. There must have been signs. The Burlington Free Press runs the story on page 1. Local curator targeted in elaborate murder plot. The words reduce 7 years of marriage to shocking headlines and speculation about my inheritance. I cancel our subscription the same day. The verdict arrives on a Thursday. 15 years for Alan, 8 for Eleanor. The sentences fall like hammers in the hushed courtroom. Marianne. Alan's voice cracks as the bailiff leads him past. Please look at me. Please. I keep my eyes forward, focusing on Grace's warm hand in mine, on the sunshine streaming through the high windows, on the future stretching before us, unmarked by the past's shadows. She tugs my hand as we walk down the courthouse steps. Can we get ice cream? Yes. The word comes easily. Today we celebrate living. At the parlor, Grace licks her chocolate cone, vanilla dripping down her wrist. Did I do good, Mommy? Telling the truth? The question stops my heart. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that her father chose money over her mother's life? That sometimes the people we trust most deserve that trust least? You did more than good. I smooth her hair, marveling at her strength. You did what was right. That's the bravest thing anyone can do. She nods, satisfied with this simple truth, and returns to her ice cream. The late afternoon sun paints her face in gold, and I think of all the mornings we might have lost. All the ice cream cones and bedtime stories and skinned knees and first days of school that could have vanished on that curved road. I love you, baby. The words feel insufficient for this child who saw what I couldn't, who spoke when I wouldn't listen, who saved more than just my life that morning. Love you too. She grins, chocolate smeared across her chin. Can we get sprinkles next time? I laugh, the sound startling in its freedom. Next time we'll get extra sprinkles. Some truths have no gentle words. But maybe that's okay. Maybe sometimes the best we can do is hold tight to those we love, order extra sprinkles, and walk forward into whatever comes next, together. The moving truck rumbles away, leaving Grace and me standing in the driveway of our new rental home. It's half the size of our old Victorian, with white clapboard siding that needs a fresh coat of paint and creaky steps leading to a wraparound porch. But when Grace tugs my hand and points to the tiny garden plot beside the stairs, her smile reaches her eyes for the first time in weeks. Can we plant flowers, Mommy? Real ones? Of course, sweetie. I squeeze her hand, remembering the artificial arrangements Alan always insisted on. What colors should we choose? She bounces on her toes, her enthusiasm infectious. Yellow, and purple, and red, and pink. We spend that first afternoon unpacking only what brings lightness to our hearts. Grace's stuffed unicorn collection claims pride of place on her new window seat. My mother's recipe box finds its home on the kitchen counter, next to the mixer I bought myself as a housewarming gift. When Grace discovers the previous tenant left behind a cookie sheet, we christen our kitchen by baking chocolate chip cookies, letting the warm scent of vanilla chase away the musty air. Your room next? I ask, and Grace nods, clutching the paint swatches we picked up yesterday. She chose the brightest yellow, the color of summer sunshine. As I roll the first stripe onto her wall, she perches on her bare mattress, swinging her legs. Dr. Brooks says it's okay to be happy and sad at the same time, she announces suddenly. Likes my old room but love this one more. I pause mid-stroke, paint dripping onto the drop cloth. Her weekly sessions with Dr. Samuel Brooks have given her vocabulary for feelings I'm still learning to express. He's right, and you know what? I feel the same way. Later that week, I sat in my own circle of healing, a support group for survivors of domestic betrayal. The church basement smells of coffee and stale donuts, but the women around me radiate strength. When I share my story, their understanding nods tell me they've walked similar paths. The hardest part, I tell them, wasn't discovering what Alan planned. It was realizing how I ignored my own instincts. How many mornings I blamed myself for feeling drowsy, never questioning the coffee he made with such concern. A silver-haired woman named Ruth reaches over and squeezes my hand. But you listened when it mattered most. You heard your daughter's warning. That same night, watching Grace sleep in her sunshine yellow room, I open my journal and write, Day 15 in our new home. No nightmares. She laughed today, real laughter that bubbled up from somewhere deep and unbroken. The idea for Second Bloom comes to me one Saturday morning during our pancake ritual. Grace sits at the kitchen table, carefully arranging blueberries into smiley faces on her stack while I scan the local paper. An article about budget cuts to arts education catches my eye, and suddenly I see a way forward, a purpose rising from the ashes of betrayal. I use part of my inheritance, money Alan never got his hands on, to establish a nonprofit supporting young women in the arts. The community center offers us space for weekend classes, and soon I'm teaching basic art history to teenagers who remind me of myself at their age, hungry for beauty and understanding. My mom helps people start over. I overhear Grace telling her new friend Sarah during a playdate. The pride in her voice wraps around my heart like a warm blanket. Dr. Brooks, Sam, as he asks me to call him now, stops by one evening to drop off some art supplies donated by his sister's gallery. He stays for dinner, and somewhere between passing the salad bowl and sharing stories about our favorite museums, I catch myself laughing. Not the careful, measured laughter of my old life, but something wild and free that starts in my belly and ripples outward. Grace notices. Later, as I tuck her in, she shows me her latest drawing. 3 figures stand before a yellow house surrounded by flowers. Grace, me, and a tall man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Is this Dr. Brooks? I ask, my heart doing a strange little dance. She nods solemnly. He makes you laugh legs to before Daddy got mean inside. Months pass. Seasons change. Our garden blooms and fades and blooms again. One crisp autumn morning, Grace and I drive to her school along the winding highway where Alan once planned my accident. She's singing along to the radio, some pop song about butterflies and new beginnings, when we pass the sharp curve with its repaired guardrail. This is where our new life began. I say quietly, more to myself than to her. But Grace hears me. She stops singing and reaches across the console to take my hand. I'm glad I told you, Mommy. I'm glad you believed me. That evening, I sat on our porch swing, watching Grace chase fireflies in our front yard. The setting sun paints the sky in shades of pink and gold, so different from the heavy gray that seemed to hang over our old house. A stack of mail sits in my lap, and on top lies a letter confirming the sale of the Victorian. The tie to our former life severed clean. Grace runs up the porch steps, hands cupped gently around a glowing firefly. Look, Mommy, it's making its own light. I smile, watching the tiny creature spark against her palms before she releases it into the gathering dusk. Sometimes the smallest lights guide us home. Sometimes the quietest voices speak the truths that save us. And sometimes, when we think we're starting over, we're actually finding our way back to who we were always meant to be. The firefly rises, blinking its luminous message into the twilight. Grace leans against my legs, and together we watch it disappear into the deepening night, its light joining the first stars emerging overhead.